Data brokers are companies that buy and sell personal data, whether it being from websites like password managers like Bitwarden for example, or data leaks from breaches that were bought on the black market. But the business model of these data brokers is to sell as much data as possible. Then why would they delete your data? It loses them money. It makes no sense. What services like DeleteMe and Incogni do is reaching out to hundreds of data brokers, exposing all your personal data to them, not once but repeatedly. They say, hey, can you remove data from Bernd Friedrichs living at Kirchstraße 23 53134 Augsburg, Germany with phone number 123456789 and email address shadyj@gmail.com with IP address 127.0.0.0 that visited the hub last night for 12 minutes and 5 seconds and that is interested in dogs, railroad modeling and macOS. Yeah, that seems like a data disaster waiting to happen, which is exactly what you wanted to prevent by subscribing. It's the equivalent of someone shouting on the streets for everyone to hear, Mr. X from Y with this email address, this phone number, this IP address is interested in this, that and that, wants to stay anonymous. Who wants to delete his data? What if Incogni and DeleteMe sell customer information? Okay, Deloitte says Incogni doesn't sell data, but I wonder how they check that. And who says that data brokers don't collect data from removal requests? Or say they have deleted data, but in reality they didn't and have a shadow database. I mean, collecting data is literally their business model. It would be stupid of them not to collect data from removal requests. Or what if they make a data set with personal information from removal requests and sell that data to other data brokers and then delete this data? Then technically they complied, they deleted the data. According to Proton and the University of California, more than 40% of data brokers do not comply with removal requests. The only reason that they might comply is the law, but we all know that companies don't care about the law. In 2026 in the Netherlands, the company T-Mobile, now known as ODIDO, leaked personal information of 6 million people, which is 1/3 of our population, including high-ranking government officials. And while we here in Europe have one of the strictest privacy laws in the world, the GDPR, T-Mobile extremely most likely wiped their ass with the GDPR by keeping data of former customers. Doing illegal stuff has become the business motto for a lot of companies, because you can most likely get away with it, especially when you have a strong lobby in the government. I remember a small company called Google that stole a complete programming language called Java once and got away with it. And if shit goes sideways, you can always apologize and offer people a 2-year license of F-Secure. I will circle back to data breaches in a minute. Okay, but how many data brokers are there? Well, in the United States are 750 data brokers registered. This doesn't account for the unregistered data brokers and not for the data brokers in the rest of the world. And while I couldn't find official numbers, AI at least hallucinates 4,000 to 5,000 data brokers around the whole world. I regretfully can't verify the source, so take that with a grain of salt. Incogni claims to cover 420 data brokers, the broadest on the market. That is minus 330 more than DeleteMe. That covers 750 data brokers. Whoops, a little lie there, Incogni. That would mean that DeleteMe can remove data for less than 1/6 of the data brokers and Incogni for less than 1/10. And while I don't know the exact numbers, I know for sure that neither of them covers 100% of the data brokers. On the websites of DeleteMe and Incogni you can find which data brokers they support. Remarkably, YouTube, Google, Facebook and Instagram are on the list of DeleteMe. Which is weird because I can't imagine that one of those would remove personal data. Maybe in the case of someone doxing you, but not the internal information that they have on you. And this page on the website of DeleteMe supports this. But why are these social media sites on the data broker list then? I dug a little deeper and I also found MaxMind on there. But MaxMind is not a personal data broker, they do geolocation of IP addresses. For a monthly fee you can download an updated list of IP addresses and where they're from. And sure, they can be used for nefarious purposes, but they can also protect you. I suspect that Incogni tries to remove your IP address, but maybe you don't want that. If Google sends you an email, someone from city X in country Y tries to log into your account, is this you? This information is very likely coming from the MaxMind database. If your IP address is missing, they can't do that. Another example. By Dutch law, I am required to collect IP addresses from buyers of my digital products on my site. This is used to determine tax information. If someone is from Germany, I need to collect 19% VAT. When someone is from the Netherlands, I need to collect 21% VAT. When someone is from Belgium, I need to collect 12% VAT. I might be overcharging you when your IP address is unknown. And when I look at the list of data brokers Incogni supports, some notorious data brokers like Truthfinder, PeopleConnect and Whitepages are absent. So even with the list of data brokers that these companies provide, is a lot wrong. Let's stay positive and assume that companies like DeleteMe and Incogni only work with legitimate data broker companies. But that is only one piece of the puzzle. Data from data breaches sold on the dark web is not in the influence sphere of DeleteMe and Incogni. And literally anyone can buy these illegal data sets. And I can't find any official data or estimations on how much personal data that is available on the dark web. Nobody knows that. And yeah, it makes sense. So even if claims of DeleteMe and Incogni are correct, it isn't very likely to fix the actual problem, your data being available on the internet. When I want a subscription, I can only pay via a payment service provider, but I can only use PayPal or credit cards. But all of those companies are data brokers.
PayPal has officially said it will be launching an ad network that will sell ads leveraging the data it collects on the purchase history and spending habits of its 400 million users. PayPal claims that users will be able to opt out of their data being used in ad targeting. However, the only way to completely opt out of data collect users to delete their accounts. I know that credit card companies sort of do this as well. They sell your data in regards to purchase history.
Nor DeleteMe nor Incogni do remove data from PayPal, Visa and MasterCard. They now have information on you with the tag privacy aware, so they can advertise to you next time. When you bought from Incogni, they can sell your data to DeleteMe, so DeleteMe can advertise to you. Do you see the irony here? Have you seen the movie Inception? A dream within a dream within a dream? But in this case, it's a nightmare within a nightmare within a nightmare. And when I look at the Trustpilot reviews on Incogni, only 9% is a 1-star review. But there is a clear storyline evolving from those negative comments. It doesn't work. And Join DeleteMe has also 9% of 1-star reviews. And there is also here a clear storyline evolving from all those negative reviews. It doesn't work. But still 90% of people are happy with these services. Why would that be? I think that's a really interesting question and I'd love to know your vision in the comments. But here is my explanation. When you have the expectation that it helps somewhat or just for peace of mind, then you're really easy to satisfy. Maybe it's even the placebo effect. When you think that something is going to work, it is more likely to have effect. And this is why placebos are used in medical studies. It could also be that the fear-mongering in the marketing is extremely effective. Or the FOMO in their marketing, fear of missing out, is very effective. But these services give some stats on what is happening, and I think that these stats are very effective in keeping people happy. But those statistics don't necessarily have to be true. I mean, how can you verify these claims? Are you going to call the data broker to see if they have deleted your data? But I also think that there is a psychological factor at play here. You are completely helpless against your data being sold. It is so satisfying when you can see that you can at least do something. Even if it's not much, at least it gives you the feeling of ha 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 ha, at least one company didn't get my data. But I also think that it is really hard to measure effectiveness. The difference between 0 and 100 spam mails is pretty obvious. But when you get 6,000 spam emails a year or 4,000, yeah, those numbers are so big, it is not immediately clear when it works or it doesn't. When I was editing this video, I found out that there is a service called Optery that basically does the same thing as Incogni and DeleteMe. I found out that Incogni and DeleteMe always request data brokers to remove your data, even when they don't have data on you. But that also goes in the statistics of Incogni and DeleteMe. Optery gives you proof that your data is on the website of these data brokers by showing you a screenshot. That sounds better, but when you think about it, those screenshots need to be stored somewhere. For how long are these stored? Are they removed when you end your subscription? Are they available for everyone to see or only for you? Unlike text, images are hard to make available for just one user. It's not impossible, but it's hard. And I know from experience that most companies won't bother going through this hassle. When you are a data broker, the sheer amount of information in these images is a goldmine. Which brings me to another point which I completely forgot to mention in the video. The personal data stored with these data removal services can be breached as well. If normal companies can't keep your data safe, why do you think that data removal services can? If I'm a hacker and want to get as much personal data as possible to sell on the dark web, these services are a legitimate target. These services have literally everything on you, and they need to because otherwise they can't delete your data. When I started this video, I was so sure that I could expose both companies for fraud, and I had every intent to sign up for one of these services and prove to you that they don't work. But instead I got something far worse than a scam. When I signed up, I exposed myself to the risk of more of my data being out there, and I have to pay for that. And those services aren't exactly cheap either. But now I am afraid to sign up, and the legal document that I have to sign in order to continue after I have paid does not help either. And while Incogni and DeleteMe may not be a scam and completely legal, what I can say for sure is that Incogni and DeleteMe are a band-aid for a gaping wound that won't stop bleeding. Not all data brokers are included, 40% of data brokers don't comply, and it doesn't cover the data from data breaches that is sold on the dark web. Both services don't fix the actual problem, your personal data being leaked. It only suppresses parts of the end result temporarily, while in the meantime you actually exacerbate the problem in the long term.